Alright guys, we have some new updates in the Ruby Franke, Jodi Hildebrand case. We now know where the other two children were, and Kevin is trying to press charges against Shari, so let's get into it. So as it turns out, Ruby's two other children were with Pam Bodtcher, who is the president of Connexions Foundation.
That same day, Springville police found two of Franke's other children. A police report says they were in American Fork with a woman named Pam Bodtcher, who told officers Ruby had called her saying she had a family emergency and asked if her kids could stay with her.
Alright, so let's read what this says. Bodtcher then explained that around noon that day, she received a call from Ruby Franke, who told her that she had a family emergency and asked if Bodtcher could pick up blank and blank. Bodtcher said that Ruby asked if the girls could go to her house with her for a while, to which Bodtcher agreed. Bodtcher told us that this was not an odd request, as she has had blank and blank over to her residence before to do housework and other chores for her.
The two children wanted to stay with Bodtcher, police wrote, but were ultimately placed with Ruby's oldest daughter.
So this one says, myself and DCFS worker Rachel made contact with blank and blank, who were seated on the front porch of Bodtcher's residence. The DCFS worker introduced herself and informed the girls that she would be taking them to a residence to stay with their older sister, Shari. Blank and blank expressed that they did not want to go with Shari and that they would prefer to stay where they were. The DCFS worker informed the girls that because they are now in the state's custody, their only options were to stay with Shari or to be placed in a foster family. Blank and blank reluctantly grabbed their personal belongings from inside Bodtcher's residence, which included a backpack and a cell phone. The DCFS worker informed blank that she needed to collect the cell phone due to them being in the state's custody. Blank gave me the phone and I turned it over to DCFS worker. So the report they share in this video says, contact with DCFS. On 8/30/2023, around 15:44 hours, Sergeant J. McCoy was contacted by the local Department of Child and Family Services, caseworker Cassandra Walker. Walker explained that she had been contacted by DCFS and law enforcement in southern Utah, who requested that we attempt to locate two juvenile females, blank and blank. Walker informed Sergeant McCoy that blank and blank, two younger siblings, had been found at a residence in southern Utah, malnourished and physically abused, and their mother Ruby Franke was in custody. The whereabouts of blank and blank were currently unknown. Given the state that the other children were found in, there were concerns regarding their welfare. Walker explained that her team was currently working on a warrant to grant the state of Utah temporary custody. Walker requested that we respond to the Franke residence located at blank in Springville and attempt to locate them. Now, this next one talks about how when law enforcement arrived, they established a perimeter, looked inside all the doors and windows, but that they were covered by either blinds or curtains. So, not knowing if the other two children were inside, they waited for a warrant to search the home. So, after the warrant had been approved is when they made entry through the Franke's front door. So, now we're going to get into some parts of this article where Kevin wants to file burglary charges against Shari. Newly obtained police reports outline how some of Ruby Franke's children and family were able to access her home after police served a warrant and broke down the front door of the home.
Reports also show Ruby's husband, Kevin, reported a burglary at his home, which police told him was just them serving a warrant looking for the kids. Kevin also wanted to file charges against his own daughter, police said, accusing her of stealing when she went into the house to get some items for her siblings. Police said they told Kevin there was no crime committed, but he was unsatisfied and threatened to sue.
So in this article, it says the eldest sister, Shari, had gone to the home to gather clothing and personal items for her two sisters. A DCFS caseworker was also at the home gathering items for the other two children who were in state's custody in southern Utah after they were located the previous day in Ivins at Jodi Hilderbrandt's home. The caseworker informed police they believed Kevin Franke might be at home and that he, quote, may not be cooperative, end quote, which is why they requested police assistance. Kevin allegedly reported that the electronic items, specifically his electronic journals, were missing. He told officers, quote, he believes his oldest daughter, Shari, is responsible due to a statement she made in court today, end quote. The officer told Kevin the front door had been broken in after a search warrant was served days prior and not broken by his oldest daughter. So this is probably why Kevin's lawyer was so wishy-washy when Law and Crime was asking him about their front door being broken down. Kevin stated that Shari is not allowed in the home and that he believes she entered unlawfully and that he wants her charged with burglary. Kevin states that he does not want any of the children mentioned in the home at this time. I again explained that they needed to get essential items of theirs that were in the home, which he did not seem to think was relevant. The report mentions that Shari brought the items to the police department and they were given to Kevin a short time later. Among the items were 3 tablets, 3 cell phones, 3 cameras / GoPros, a stack of written journals, and 3 passports for Kevin, Ruby, and another one of their children. I believe Shari was in there trying to collect whatever evidence she could. The complainant was informed that we would not be charging his daughter with anything, as her intent was not to deprive him of any items. She had previously been allowed in the home, and he had not been in the home, admittedly, for 13 months. The officer said that he explained to Kevin over the phone that due to the circumstances surrounding the incident, we would not be filing charges against Shari, and that would be considered a civil issue due to her intent not being to deprive him of the items. He, Kevin, advised he was going to sue the police department. Kevin was displeased with this answer and advised that we would be hearing from his attorney. 2 News had an interview scheduled with Kevin's attorney, Randy Kester, but it was canceled due to the current state of the juvenile court case. Kester shared a statement with 2 News regarding these reports. Kevin didn't do either. He and Shari are working together on bygones and resuming a loving and healthy father-daughter relationship. Kevin is still trying to understand and correct the upside-down world that was dealt him. It's a lot to deal with all at once. So I've seen where the news stations have started digging into Pam, and Jodi Hildebrandt's niece even mentioned her in an interview.
Pam Bodtcher, when I was living with Jodi, Pam Bodtcher was around. She was Jodi's best friend. And I didn't realize that she was connected in this. I mean, I have very strong feelings towards Pam because of not that she was directly applying abuse, she wasn't actually involved, but she was one of the people that was constantly surveilling, the surveillance of reporting back to Jodi. She was always at the house just because she was friends with Jodi, so it's sometimes a little murky. But wow, that's very disappointing, and I'm wondering why she's not being why they're not talking about her.
So they also discovered that Connexions Foundation was listed as a 501c3 on the IRS website. Now their code says PC, which is a public charity. So it says deduction limitation 50%, 60% for cash contributions. Now I honestly don't understand how all of this tax information works, but this was the last time they filed a 990N, and this was their approval letter. Now with having limited knowledge on how this stuff works, what comes to mind for me is the fact that Jodi was getting referrals through the church and they were using donated funds to help these people get treatment, and that money was getting paid to Jodi. So I almost wonder if she is considering that money as charitable donations. If anyone has more knowledge about that and how it works, let us know down below in the comments. Also, let me know what you guys think about the children not wanting to go with Shari and wanting to stay with Pam. We know that Shari spoke out about Connexions and her family back in May of 2023, so maybe the children had knowledge of this and they just weren't really comfortable with Shari at the time. But they've been reporting from the beginning that all of the children were taken in state custody, so it would appear that the 2 other girls are with Shari and not with the other 2 children. This is also probably why Shari has been in attendance at the custody hearings. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you could, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe for more updates.